Have you ever noticed the profound silence that precedes an imminent strain? I was in the stable aisle, the scent of leather and hay lingering in the air, morning light slicing through the dust in golden streaks. Sereno shifted his weight to one side, an ear flicked back. His eye glinted with that specific spark of alarm only those who truly live alongside horses recognize. Outside, someone was remarking that horses were built to carry burdens, and a little extra wouldn't do any harm. Instantly, the nape of your neck bristles. You feel your body recoil before your mouth can even form a protest. It's not merely a mistake, it's the very same insidious excuse that silently erodes trust. If you've ever ridden with a knot of guilt in the pit of your stomach, you know the metallic tang of doubt. It's the bridge of the spine pleading for reprieve, the air growing shallow, your hand almost instinctively reaching for another hole in the girth, as if a strap could magically solve the complex equation of weight. The aisle hangs suspended, as if the entire stable breathes in unison with you, and the horse, through its very being, poses the question no one wishes to answer extemporaneously. The query is both disquieting and imperative. Ultimately, how much weight can a horse truly bear without suffering today and paying a steep price tomorrow? I will guide you through this answer, opening a door few dare to approach, revealing the subtle detail that transforms everything. Weight is not an isolated metric, but an intricate relationship between body, posture, and rhythm. Stay with me until the end, for I will reveal the field test that uncovers the true limit long before pain manifests, and recount a tale of betrayal and transformation that taught me the harshest lessons. You will discern the profound difference between myth and empirical measurement, between romanticizing resilience and recognizing nascent signs in the eyes, gait, and perspiration. And if you've ever experienced that gnawing intuition that something was amiss, yet pressed on regardless, this is the opportune moment to return to that stable aisle, confront the silence, and make a truly informed decision. Are you ready to truly hear what your horse has been communicating without uttering a single word? I want to impart 3 crucial elements to you now: clarity, discernment, and the courage to say no. Clarity to differentiate between anecdotal wisdom and living reality. Discernment to weigh context, not merely kilograms. Courage to refuse the aesthetically pleasing photo that will exact a heavy toll on the animal's back tomorrow. History often romanticizes drovers, arduous marches, and wartime campaigns as if sheer endurance were a badge of honor, utterly disregarding the hidden price exacted in overheated tendons, backs that sag beneath ill-fitting saddles, and mouths that harden in an effort to evade pain. You understand the dynamic. The group laughs. Someone dismisses concerns as trivial, and you swallow your misgivings because no one wishes to be perceived as the killjoy of the gathering. Yet, a horse does not read captions. It reads your seat, your core, your silence. A common adage often cites a percentage, yet reality is dictated by factors like tissue condition, temperature, terrain, and the horse's body memory. The bridge between these two perspectives lies in diligently measuring what truly matters and attentively heeding what the horse communicates with each stride. You will observe, without any recourse to magic, how seemingly simple numbers can narrate complex stories when you consider heart rate recovery, the symmetry of perspiration, or the rhythm that falters on an ascent. And you will discern the profound difference between pushing forward with mere hope and making adjustments based on precise methodology. Do you wish to transform diligent care into an ingrained habit? Then take a breath and walk this path with me. The guiding principle is straightforward and fits comfortably in your breeches pocket. First, consider proportion, the combined weight of rider and equipment versus the horse's actual mass. This permits no guesswork. Utilize a measuring tape for girth circumference and body length. Employ practical estimation and, when feasible, a scale. Next, consider context, age, body condition score, and the conformation of the loin and hindquarters reveal a great deal about the horse's capacity to sustain a load throughout the day. A well-conditioned adult is certainly not equivalent to a growing youngster, and a short loin will not respond in the same manner as a long one. Subsequently, consider distribution, the correct saddle for the withers, panels that make full contact, a saddle pad that doesn't create a wedge effect, and stirrups that align your axis, allowing your weight to settle responsively and distributed, rather than concentrated. Then come the invisible multipliers. Soft sand, uphill climbs, heat, and humidity can effectively double 5 kilograms to 10. You will learn to interpret the early signals that almost no one else considers conclusive evidence. A gaze that pleads for a pause, breathing that is slow to subside, broken sweat patterns beneath the saddle, or the back that fails to lift when the gait demands it. And finally, the field test that reveals the heart's truth in mere minutes, devoid of drama or guesswork. At the culmination of this journey, I will present you with the 3 Ps rule, the invaluable filter I employ on every outing to make unwavering decisions. But before we delve into any numbers, there's a pervasive and costly myth that must be dismantled, for what appears to be prudence often devolves into a license for abuse. Are you prepared to debunk the most frequently repeated belief in the stables? Before we plunge deeper, you must confront a myth that, while appearing prudent, often becomes a pretext for abuse. The widespread belief in a 15 to 20% load capacity often sounds like a golden rule, yet it is far from a magic number. It originated from studies characterized by small sample sizes, highly trained horses, meticulously fitted saddles, and rigorously controlled courses. While useful as a starting point, it was never intended as an absolute exemption or safe conduct. When it morphs into dogma, it invariably becomes an excuse for the next saddlebag, the extra water bottle, or the child perched atop the tack, with the horse's back left to bear the burden. A percentage is merely a window, not an impenetrable wall. It fluctuates significantly with age, body condition score, core musculature, and the specific conformation of the withers and loin. A short, sturdy loin distributes forces differently than a long, sagging one. A young animal with open growth plates responds dissimilarly to micro-impacts. Moreover, the arithmetic is deceptive if your foundational data is flawed. Estimating a horse's weight visually often results in underestimation. Thus, your assumed 15% silently escalates to 18%. Conversely, the inverse scenario unfolds when you disregard your equipment. Saddle, saddle pad, stirrups, and saddlebags all contribute to the overall load. It's not merely you and your physical self, and there are subtle manipulations during long rides. The seemingly innocuous suggestion to swap loads, the lighthearted jab about a strong horse, the group pressure to capture a picturesque moment. Recognize the pattern. Behind this facade lies a strategy to exhaust another rider's horse. It's difficult to articulate, I understand, but this is how trust erodes without a single outcry, solely through incremental weight and silence. If you appreciate content that safeguards both horse and rider through technical expertise and genuine insight, then join me, subscribe, and share your thoughts. The community flourishes with your active participation. Disclose your current total tack weight, which saddle you employ, and whether you've ever measured your horse's thoracic circumference with a tape. If not, I urge you to do so before your next trot. Document it. Weigh your stirrups, saddle pad, and girth. Unexpected figures may emerge from this summation, and, crucially, describe how your horse recovers its respiration after a working trot. This piece of data is invaluable, because it is precisely here that the discussion transitions into applied science. Moving beyond mere conjecture. In the ensuing minutes, you will comprehend why modern horsemanship, characterized by haste, recreational tourism, and vanity, exponentially increases risks. You will observe how the spine functions as a suspension bridge, how the rider displaces the center of gravity, and how pressure mats and heart rate monitors unveil peaks imperceptible to the naked eye. The myth is dispelled, the method prevails. Are you prepared to respectfully delve into the horse's anatomy, grasp its true biomechanics, and learn to interpret the subtlest warning before the initial stumble? Take a breath. The urgency looms just ahead. Envision the equine spine as a suspension bridge. On one side, the nuchal ligament, which assists in bearing the head's weight. On the other, the supraspinous ligament, traversing the length of the vertebral spines. Between them are the living cables, the extensive back muscles, and, beneath, the abdominal equine girdle that ought to elevate the dorsal line as the horse moves. When you mount, you don't merely add weight, you introduce leverage. If your center of gravity shifts rearward, the loin transforms into a hinge. If you apply pressure with a rigid leg, the shoulder forfeits its range of motion. Pressure pads reveal heat maps, red splotches on the caudal third of the saddle when the panel is insufficient, and pressure points at the scapula's edge when the tree is too narrow. Cardiac monitors expose what the eye cannot discern. Two riders of identical weight generate disparate effort curves. One, aligned and supple, maintains a trot at 120 BPM and recovers swiftly. The other, rigid and clinging to the reins, causes the same exercise to peak at 140 BPM and takes longer to subside. And therein lies a secret that many mistake for disrespect. The horse that refuses an ascent is not testing you. It is striving to protect its own physical integrity. The one that accelerates and whinnies on a descent is not recalcitrance. It is pain seeking release. Are you seeking obedience? Begin with comfort. Mentally contrast two scenarios: soft sand at midday, a poorly fitted saddle, a loose backpack versus firm ground at dawn. Stabilize tack. You centered and light. The gait changes. The breathing alters. The expression transforms. It's the same percentage on paper, but a vastly different narrative for the body. And the body does not lie. I learned this the hard way. With Sereno, a long climb, dense foliage, 28 degrees Celsius, high humidity, group pressure, plus an extra bag in the saddlebags, just until the next shade. I dismissed the premonition. At the summit, the monitor registered 144 BPM. I walked for 2 minutes, still above 100 BPM. He was breathing shallowly, his neck rigid, patchy sweat beneath the saddle. The photo would have garnered likes. The erosion of trust, however, would not. I called for quiet, dismounted, removed weight, and refastened the saddle pad. I led Sereno by hand for 15 minutes. Water to his muzzle, salt to his tongue. The heart rate dropped to 84 BPM. I only remounted when his back offered me the elevating gesture in return, that subtle upward arc you perceive in the saddle when the horse invites you back. On the return journey, I implemented the simple test that has since become routine: 5 to 6 minutes of working trot, followed by 2 minutes of loose walking. If the heart rate doesn't fall below 80 BPM within that time frame, I reduce the load or duration. If his breathing doesn't return to a rhythmic cadence, I halt, without drama, without guilt, with method. Since that day, I view refusal as a report, not an affront. I interpret the sweat map as a clue, not a condemnation. And I now wish to impart to you the very same field kit that saved me from repeating that error. A recovery protocol, a rapid saddle adjustment technique that identifies hotspots in 5 steps. And the 3 Ps rule that finalizes the decision before you even leave the stable yard. Do you wish to learn how to assess weight without scales, how to gauge a pulse without expensive equipment, and how your own body can subtly subtract or add invisible kilograms? Breathe. The next bend holds the answer that will forever transform your horsemanship and your horse's confidence. Let's delve into the pocket-sized field kit that promises to revolutionize your perspective in a single day. First, a scale-free method for gauging weight. Employ a tape measure around the horse's girth circumference, positioned directly behind the withers, ensuring it is taut and level. Subsequently, measure the body length from the point of the shoulder to the point of the buttock. Record these figures. A straightforward calculation yields an approximate weight. Square the girth circumference, multiply by the body length, then divide by approximately 1880. While not flawless, this method offers consistent results. Accurately tally your actual equipment: saddle, saddle pad, stirrups, bridle, saddlebags, and water. Whether a pleasant discovery or a harsh reality, this cumulative weight exists, regardless of your awareness. Second, assess your horse's physical state without recourse to costly gadgets. Gently press 2 fingers against the facial artery, located along the lower edge of the jawbone. Count for 15 seconds, and multiply by 4. Observe respiration by monitoring the flank, not the nostril. Ascertain capillary refill time on the gums. It should transition from white to pink within 2 seconds. Gauge hoof temperature by hand. Third, execute a rapid, oui-tui, 5-step saddle adjustment. Ensure an unobstructed gullet channel over the spine. Confirm full panel contact, preventing any bridging in the central area. Perform the paper test beneath the panel to verify the absence of pressure points that could impede scapular movement. Secure the girth firmly, yet humanely, and retighten after a 10-minute interval. Finally, upon dismounting, observe a uniform sweat pattern, devoid of dry patches in the center or chafed edges. Fourth, implement a recovery protocol. Engage in 5 to 6 minutes of working trot, followed by 2 minutes of a loose walk. Should the heart rate fail to drop below 80 beats per minute, or respiration not normalize, it necessitates reducing the load, shortening the duration, or adjusting the schedule. The 3 Ps rule serves as an inviolable safeguard against self-deception. Pay roper weight, pay perfect pavement, surface, and payas als. Maintain an honest record of the total weight in your logbook. Consider terrain and climate as significant multipliers. Soft sand, high temperatures, and uphill climbs effectively double the exertion. Pulse and recovery serve as the ultimate arbiters. Should 2 Ps indicate optimal conditions but 1 signals a concern, you are bound to respect the adverse reading. Physiology brooks no argument with ego. For an immediate assessment, walk 600 meters up a gentle incline with your horse and gear, dismount, and take measurements within 1 minute. The following day, repeat the same incline, but reduce the load by 10%. Compare the results. You will experience your horse's body responding to you with unprecedented clarity. Now, consider the invisible pounds that depart your body, not through diet, but through refined posture. When you center yourself, relax your thighs, and allow your ankles to function as shock absorbers. Pressure mapping reveals cooler, more evenly distributed contact points. Conversely, gripping with your thighs, leaning back, and stiffening your hands. Introduce 20–30% spikes at the rear edge of the saddle. This represents weight unaccounted for on the scale, yet it bears entirely on your horse's back. Experiment with 2 minutes of trotting. Ein, chui, ein, focusing on an uli up and in or engagement. Navel gently drawn towards the spine. Lateral breathing, a supple hand that follows the horse's neck. Then, 2 minutes, tense and rushed. You'll feel the difference in impulsion and see it in the sweat. Contrast a cool morning on firm ground with a hot afternoon on soft sand. The same percentage of effort, load, yet distinct imprints on the horse's body. And remember the salt. Without electrolytes, recovery is deceptive. With simple replenishment, water ad libitum, a pinch of common salt post-work for those who sweat profusely, the pulse reveals the truth faster. Science is readily available, and poetry emerges when you apply it, and the horse trusts, ready to close the loop. In the next step, I'll put the 3 Ps into action, showing the no that saved Sereno from a silent betrayal and the turning point that rebuilt our partnership. Stay with me. This is where technique meets courage, and your horse feels it. And when you take the 3 Ps on the road, what truly happens? Imagine a cold dawn, shallow mist across the fields, silence punctuated by deep breaths. You check the weight in your notebook, 78 kilograms for you, 11 for equipment, 2 full bottles, totaling 93. The horse, by tape measurement, 480. Paper says 19%. Terrain, mixed trail, stretches of soft sand in the valley and a long ascent on rock slab. Weather, a fresh dawn, but the forecast indicates 30 degrees Celsius by midday. Baseline pulse, before mounting, 36, regular, 10-minute warm-up at the walk, plus 2 minutes of light trot, 68, supple, elastic neck. First 3 Ps check every hour. In the valley, the sand saps energy. You feel in the saddle that the horse's back begins to ask for more space. You perform the micro-protocol, 3 minutes of working trot, 2 of long walk, then measure. The pulse doesn't drop below 84. A red flag appears. While a friend laughs and says, "It's too early for a break," you read another clue. Patchy sweat emerging beneath the saddle's cantle, dry islands in between. Science gently knocks at the door. You reduce the load by removing a bottle. Loosen the girth by 1 hole to allow for breathing room. Adjust the stirrup axis. You lead the horse in hand. Find some shade. Water to the lips. 2 minutes. Measure again. 76. Breathing in wide waves. Terrain and pulse are now green. Weight still yellow. And then comes the invitation that separates vanity from guardianship. Let's take the extra crest. The view from up there is worth it. You calmly reply, "Not today." Want to know why? Because the no stems from his body, not your fear. At the base of the climb, you repeat the kit. 2 minutes of brisk trotting on the flat, 2 of a relaxed walk. The pulse registers 92, slow to abate. The ground grows warm. The breeze dissipates. The sand at the trail's edge has turned to powder. 2 red Ps. With your hand on its jaw, you sense a fuller than usual beat. The capillary refill time scrapes 3 seconds. A slight delay. No amount of bravado can mask this report. You dismount. You reposition the saddle pad. Check the gullet clearance and toss the second water bottle to the support vehicle. You instruct the group to proceed. You walk alongside, the line of the muzzle slightly below the chest, with a broad stride. 500 meters further on, the back elevates once more, the neck loosens, and the sound of breathing shifts from a short whisper to a deep bellows. At the viewpoint, you arrive later, but you arrive intact. While the others pose for photos, you run your hand along the flank, the sweat map now uniform, devoid of cold patches. When you remount, the horse offers you the trot without hesitation. On the return journey, employing the paper test beneath the saddle panel, you pinpoint a spot that had been pinching at the scapular margin. A 1-finger adjustment salvaged the afternoon, and that perfect photo, it would have masked the micro-lesion that would manifest 3 days later. Today's no averted tomorrow's silent betrayal. This is the paradigm shift. Respect isn't the horse acquiescing to your desire. It's you yielding to its body when it asks. Wish to practice? On your next outing, jot down your 3 Ps, perform the 1-minute recovery test, and compare the sweat map on the descent. Afterward, share in the comments what your no entailed and what trust emerged from that decision. Because when you say no for its sake, the horse learns to say yes for yours, unhurriedly, fearlessly, with genuine honesty. What if I told you that the fate of your next ride is already inscribed within its brain? The hippocampus registers the route's topography and olfactory cues. The amygdala labels each segment with an emotional tag: safe, uncertain, threat. When you judiciously apply the 3 Ps and utter no at the opportune moment, the internal record shifts from alert to predictability. Science terms this spatial working memory and associative learning. You perceive it as a confidence that requires no rein. Monitors reveal another crucial insight. Heart rate variability escalates when your breathing rhythm becomes slow and regular, and the horse enters co-regulation, 2 bridges oscillating in unison. Conversely, the opposite also holds true. Haste, poor footing, and enforced silence become triggers that the body will not forget. The horse that disrespects you tomorrow is, often, the very same one you pushed beyond the point of recovery today. Ears fixed in the distance, diminished blinking, a locked jaw, a short, sharp tail swish. These are mere footnotes before the scream. And that chewing without food? It's not always submission. Often, it's the parasympathetic brake engaging, pleading for a pause. 2 paths, 2 futures. You can collect small victories and significant cracks, or you can invest in micro-concessions that build up the back, the mind, and the emotional pathway. The hidden truth is simpler than it seems. For the horse, respect is protected biomechanics combined with the predictability of your actions. When its body feels free to elevate its back and its head meets stable hands, the mind relaxes and learns. You call this partnership. Biology calls it perceived safety. Want an at-home trial? Spend a minute breathing with your horse. Hands on the pommel, eyes on the rhythm of its ribs. Then, take a long step, rein slack, and listen for the pulse on its jawbone. If the number drops, you've hit the right note. Write it down. Repeat for 7 days. On the 8th, measure before and after saddling. Compare the sweat pattern and the expression in its eyes. Tell me in the comments what changed, which enon opened up a wider yes. And if this content has protected you from an error, share it, invite another guardian to the circle, and subscribe. In our next session, we'll delve into a territory that sabotages all of this without warning. The hidden risks in feed that deplete muscle hydration, inflame tendons, and disguise fatigue with sugar. Do you truly know your horse's feed? Wait until you hear what its gut has to say. Breathe. The journey continues, and you already know how to hear the first whisper. Have you noticed how the sweet smell from the feed bin changes its mood even before you mount? High sugar and starch cause blood sugar to spike rapidly, insulin to open the floodgates, and the head to become excitable. It seems like energy. It's expensive anxiety. In the large intestine, excess starch turns into acid. Gut flora becomes imbalanced, and water rushes into the lumen to dilute the pH. The result? Drier muscles, a sensitive back, and a pulse that won't drop. The opposite is subtle, yet potent. Free choice hay, small meals, and feed changes over 7 days, not 2. A handful of alfalfa 30 minutes before saddling acts as a buffer, protecting the stomach and reducing the rush that often leads to unwanted piaffing. Starch-rich concentrate, 3 to 4 hours away from heavy exercise. Should additional calories be required, prioritize fiber and a touch of fat over sugar. As for water, ad libitum, fresh, perpetually. During exertion in heat, a horse can lose liters per hour. Without adequate salt, thirst proves deceptive and the pulse misleading. A foundational daily dose of plain salt, distributed across 2 feedings, coupled with a hydrating mash post-exertion, ensures genuine recovery. Pastureland, too, offers insights. Cool, sun-drenched afternoons elevate sugar concentration. Early mornings, devoid of overnight frost, generally prove safer. Following frosty nights, sugar levels remain elevated until the sun warms the foliage. While you cannot control the plant's chemistry, you can certainly manage your timing. I gleaned this understanding during a week when Sereno appeared, wired on 220 volts. His pre-exercise pulse of 44 would rapidly escalate to 96 after just a light trot, and then take an unacceptably long time to return to normal. I nearly attributed it to mere stubbornness. I eliminated molasses, incrementally reduced starch by half over a 7-day period, augmented his hay intake, and the uinche, and ensured coarse salt was perpetually accessible. I rigorously adhered to the established protocol, alfalfa prior to work, a complete absence of concentrated feed 3 hours before the trail ride, and unrestricted access to water mid-exercise. Across 4 subsequent outings, the identical 5 to 6 minute trot and 2-minute walk test consistently yielded pulse rates of 78 to 80, accompanied by rhythmic, undulating respiration. His sweat patterns were clean and even, and his gaze, placid, pure science, manifest poetry. Seeking a practical, cost-effective shortcut? Consider the 3-2-1 trough protocol. 3 hours devoid of concentrated feed prior to work. 2 handfuls of hydrated fiber post-exertion to replenish water and electrolytes, and 1 handful of alfalfa administered before saddling to safeguard the stomach. It's straightforward, replicable, and authentic. And should anyone assert that your horse requires more feed to be obedient, recall this fundamental truth. Compliance stems not from sugar, but from a body free of discomfort and a mind unburdened by agitation. In the subsequent discussion, I will elucidate how this nutritional bedrock fundamentally alters one's interpretation of respect. Those subtle cues, often misconstrued as insubordination, are, in reality, pleas for adjustment. You will behold the same horse, yet perceive a completely transformed being. Are you eager to uncover how dietary no's can transmute into yeses on a loose rein? Join me.